Hello and welcome to Mente de Madre Leona. Thank you so much for being here today. We are kicking off season 3 with Petya Kolobova as our special guest. She is an amazing woman filled with so much knowledge and wisdom. She spreads light to everyone who comes into contact with her. I am just completely filled with gratitude for her taking her time to share some knowledge and wisdom here on the show, not only with me, but with all of you. I hope that you enjoy this podcast as much as I certainly have. She also has an amazing, amazing podcast. I hope that you will follow her and listen to her podcast. It's called Unapologetically Abundant. She also has an awesome Instagram. And she also is an alignment coach and really, really helps people in this world. So guys, I really hope that you enjoy the following show, and I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you are. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining us here today on Mente de Madre Leona. Today I have a wonderful special guest, Petya Kolobova. I hope I pronounced that right. Your
Perfectly.
name is so beautiful, but I have this New York, Oklahoma accent going on, so it's very interesting. And you are an amazing alignment abundance coach, and you are just so phenomenal that you're able to help people with your coaching and your retreats, but also through your social media and your stories and your posts, you're able to reach such a broad spectrum of people and enlighten them on so many things that there's so many of us that just don't know and that can change our lives so drastically. So I really appreciate you joining me here today. I've been blending in a little bit more of spirituality into trying to connect that to my listeners and my followers, and especially with the fitness. And so that was kind of one of my first questions I wanted to ask you about, because I know yesterday we were chit-chatting a little bit about the fitness. And so I wanted to ask you about that. With vibrational energy, do you feel like when you're able to exercise or work out or even just go for a walk, do you feel like that's really a good way to raise your vibrational energy?
So that's such an amazing question. And I feel that the question is yes and no, because, I'm coming from a fitness background too, because you could not tell right now by my social media, right? I don't post it there, but I used to be a personal trainer. I used to be a fitness competitor. I did a couple NPC bikini shows here when I lived in Las Vegas. So I do have a fitness background, and it really depends on why. Like, why do you want to move your body? Because sometimes we use it as a numbing and an escape, and that was my case because I'm coming from, like in the past 2 decades of eating disorder. So I used to hate it to really put everything on how do I look, not how I feel. So if you want to be moving your body because it's going to make you feel better, go for it. But if you're moving your body to push it because you feel like it's unlovable or looks the way that you don't want it to look, or you're trying to run away, and I feel like that's what I did in the past too. I used to like run away. Like I didn't want to feel my feelings. I didn't want to face the true reality, right? So I would just use, and I used to work out 7 days a week and sometimes twice a day, so it was really just excessive because I was thinking if I'm smaller, I would be worthy of love. Like when we look at these beautiful petite women that are just like, you just want to embrace them, you just want to protect them, you just want to hug them, right? And I feel like naturally as a woman, we have that too. Like, oh my gosh, she's so petite. Like, I want to, like squeeze her, hug her. And I was feeling that when I get smaller, then I would be lovable, then I would be worth
Mm.
of being protected, you know.
Yeah.
So for me, the fitness was not in the past the right way, and I wanted to start with the not right way, because then we can look at it from other way. We get to be moving our bodies because our vessels are, oh, it's just it's so beautiful. Like the way how I see bodies, I see them as these miracles vessels that we can be using while we are here on earth, experiencing things, feeling the feelings, trying different foods and different things. And our bodies have to be feeling good so we can experience it. So now I'm still like, I'm working out, but not 7 days a week. Now I'm
Hmm.
listening to my body, you know, like yesterday we went to the gym with my husband. He goes like probably 5 times a week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I will see how I feel in the morning, because then I'm
Hmm.
like, I told him this morning I wanted to honor myself and I wanted to take morning for me. So I was
Right.
journaling and sitting in a shower, and I move my body because I go for a walk with the doggy, you know, like a few
Right.
times a
Yeah.
day. So we get to be moving our body in a conscious way, and whether it's breath work, whether it's fitness, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's yoga, like find your flow, right? Like
Right.
what really makes you happy to be alive. And I know it's like a very long-winded answer, but I
No.
really feel that the physical is super important, how we
Yeah.
treat our bodies. And it's not only the workout, but also what do we put into our bodies. And
Hmm.
it's funny because I was posting about it today on my stories, because I'm hosting this weekend my VIP client weekend. She will come here for the weekend and everything is taken care of. She's like the queen. And I have some gifts that I bought her and some gift from sponsors. And yesterday, the lady I buy candles, they're
Hmm.
fragrance free, you know, natural,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
beautiful candles, and she puts like crystals and dry
Oh,
flowers in it. It's
wow.
amazing. I love her to life. She's always like doing custom candles for me and for my retreats and my clients.
Oh, wow.
And we were talking yesterday when she was leaving. I was like, wow, your teeth are so beautiful and white. She was like, oh, thank you. It's just a Crest. I'm like, Crest has a fluoride free toothpaste? She was like, no, there is a fluoride. I'm like, do you know that fluoride, it's like a poison, that it's like killing you and
Hmm.
calcifying your pineal gland, and
Yeah.
it's like making you like not think that it's
Hmm.
purposefully in the toothpaste and in our water, you
Yes.
know. And it's just interesting because 10 years ago I didn't know.
Hmm.
But once you know, you cannot unknow, you cannot unsee.
Yes.
So she was like, oh, but you know, it's the only thing that I like. I'm like, you're killing yourself twice a day very slowly. And you're
Yeah.
like, well, I just like the peppermint taste. It doesn't make sense to me. And I love her, you know. I was like, would you be open to try something else? I'm not here to tell you what to do. Like, it's your
Yeah.
life, it's your body. But you were asking about like the physical, the fitness, right?
Right.
But everything we put inside of our body and everything we
Yeah.
put on our body, the creams, the shampoos,
Yeah.
everything, it will affect your possibility to connect with the spirituality, with the divine, you know. So I
Yeah.
think that we all are born spiritual, because it's not just the physical body, it's also the
Right.
soul, the spirit, whatever you believe. There is power bigger than we can just see. And
Right.
it's this overall holistic, you get to move your body, you gotta know what you're putting into your body, but it gets to be in a very loving way, not
Hmm.
like, oh, I should, and forcing
Right.
yourself, you know. So like I said, very long-winded question,
No, I love
answer.
that. I love that. And I love how you explain, because I'm always like just dropping a line about the water, like check your water out. Like I'm not going to preach to you, but please, 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 because that was really one of the
Girl,
first
please
things
preach.
I started.
Please keep preaching.
I love it. I mean, I distill my own water right before I came in here. I put another pot on. So it really is incredible. I think that was one of the first times it was about 7 years ago. I started distilling my water, and I just started waking up. And so it was just like, wow, what else is there to know, So
Uh-huh. And
it's
that's
so
what
neat.
I mentioned to you, Christina. I absolutely love your openness. You know, like
Thank
you're open to try
you.
new things, you're open to learn. And I feel that it's super important because like I was sharing this morning on my stories, it's like you get to get used to get uncomfortable, because we get
Hmm.
comfortable, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
I just wish I would like release 10 pounds, and then you release 10 pounds and then you forget about it, right?
Yeah.
It's not that. It's not about the weight. It's how you're feeling and how your energy is impacting the people around you.
Yes.
Because the thing is that, some listeners might be moms or, fathers. I
Hmm.
don't know if it's for only women, but maybe parents, but some not. But no matter what you're doing, you're always inspiring others to something. You're always an example. For example, a few years ago, I used to have a roommate, and
Hmm.
she was an exact example of how I never want to be, ever.
Right.
She was very unhealthy, and her environment was unhealthy. Her relationships were unhealthy. And I'm like, this is exactly how I don't want to be. So when
Hmm.
people look at you, they will always see you as an example. And it would be like, oh, I want to be like Christina, or like, oh my
Right.
gosh, never, ever. And listen, you're not here to please anyone. It's not
Yeah.
about pleasing people and say like, oh, I gotta do the right thing so the people like me. It's not about that. It's
Hmm.
about you being you unapologetically, that's what
Right.
I
Yes.
stand for.
Yes.
Being really unapologetic, because only that way you attract your people. Like when
Hmm.
you and me connected, there was like instant, like I know her for years resonance, and
Yes.
like you cannot fake that, like that
Right.
energy, that resonance, that vibration, you cannot fake it. We all feel it,
Yes.
but most of the time is we're ignoring it. It's like,
Yes.
oh, I shouldn't dislike my boss, and I shouldn't dislike my neighbor, and I should be nice to my friends that I have for 10, 20 years, even though they're going complete opposite, like direction that I'm going. So no.
Yes. I love that. I love your unapologetic abundance, because it's just such a neat thing to remind women, just in saying the name of your brand, that you I'm the worst of saying, oh, I'm sorry, like all the time, apologizing. And
Is that Canadian thing or something?
it must be. I am from New York, so it comes
I
down.
know, but the people that I know that apologize the most are from Canada. I'm like, I don't know. One thing that I'm teaching all my clients when they feel like, say like, I'm sorry, you take a deep breath and say thank you.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
the thing is that when you're saying I'm sorry, not only you're giving your power away because you're saying I
Mhm.
did something wrong, but you're
Right.
also making the other person uncomfortable. Just think
Yeah.
about it. Right? If somebody tells me like I'm sorry, it makes me feel bad. It's not like, oh my God, I'm so excited, right? It's not the
Yeah.
energy that we want to be putting out there. But when
Right.
you say thank you, well, there's the energy of appreciation.
Right.
So, for example, if you're running late, you say, thank you so much for your patience. My
Yeah.
husband always tells me, thank you so much for your patience. I was like, which one?
Okay.
So that's like one of the examples, and of course, like sometimes there is a space and time to say, I'm sorry, right?
Right. Oh yeah.
But not very often. Like there is
Yeah.
always the space for say thank you for your understanding, thank you for your flexibility. Like sometimes I gotta move, reschedule things, and instead of saying like, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm messing up your schedule, I say thank you so much for flexibility. Well, now I'm feeling empowered,
Yeah.
not in control, but empowered. And then the other person is feeling like, wow, like this person is really appreciating me. So
Yes.
just next time, maybe do that and see how it feels for you and the other person.
Yes, absolutely. I will for sure. And anybody that's listening, because I know it's very common.
Hmm.
um, so let me ask you question number two. Um, as we become more aligned with ourselves and listening to our intuition, do you feel like we need less of exterior motivational influences? Sometimes we need that get up and go to go and do, to pursue the things that we want. And so often we're looking at everything around us to push us to do those. But as we get more in tune with here, how do you feel about that?
It's a beautiful question. And, I feel like when I was starting my journey, it was, so I feel like my journey had really three stages and it can always change, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
first stage was motivation, the second stage was inspiration, and the third stage was impact. So when you're on the first stage, when you're starting to realize that, wow, I'm meant for more and I'm not living it yet,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just this realizations and subtle moments that you are like, I really don't like my job. I really don't feel good in my relationship. I really don't love my body. Like there will be just these glimpses.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't disregard them and go with that feeling, you will start many clients that come to me, they're like, I know I'm meant for more, but I don't know what exactly to do, and I have so many responsibilities and things like that. So
Yeah.
first, yes, you get to get motivated,
Okay.
and usually it is external, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's external because you start to listen to podcasts, reading books, you start to like, I remember when I used to go to the gym, I would listen to like Les Brown and Tony Robbins and like all
Mm-hmm.
these motivational like
Yeah.
videos on YouTube. And I'm like, like doing like pumping iron and I'm crying, like tears coming down, I'm like,
Yes,
I don't
yes.
care if people think I'm crazy. So the first stage is the motivation. You get to motivate yourself I feel like it's just to create the momentum so you get from where you are
Mm-hmm.
just to one next step. Just choose something a little bit different. It's like brainwashing yourself,
Yeah.
to start believing something else. Well, the second one is the inspiration. You start to see things that are inspiring you. Like I started to see like women like, oh my gosh, she's doing podcasts. Like maybe I can do that. Wow, she's doing retreats. She's doing weekend events. Like maybe I can do that, right? And so
Yeah.
I got inspired. And instead of like when we're in the motivation stage, we compare ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We say like, oh, good for them, they have money, or they have husband who is taking care of them, or
Right.
must be nice, right? Because
Yeah.
you're still in that like old mindset. When you're in that inspiration stage, it's more of like, wow, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And many of my clients are coming from that motivation stage. They already did that themselves. They already listened podcasts, maybe they had some coaches,
Right.
they read the books, and they're stepping into the inspiration, and they look at my life and they're like, wow, if Petya can do that, if she can have loving relationship, great body health, six-figure online coaching business,
Mm-hmm.
working only with clients she loved, traveling the world, well, if that chick from little small town in Czech Republic could do it, I can do it.
Right.
Like look at her accent. I can do it. So that's the inspiration stage. And then the third one is the impact. That's when you really like embrace unapologetically who you are. You
Mm-hmm.
embrace your gifts, and it will be always unfolding. It's like you come to that stage and you are done. We always will
Right.
be growing and unfolding and learning. And it's going to be really beautiful because when you're in that impactful stage, you start to like appreciate life, you start to appreciate yourself, and you start to be abundantly paid to be yourself,
Mm-hmm.
which is powerful and really beautiful. So
Oh
being in
yeah.
that stage, it's like where I am right now, impacting those around me and being able to live a life that is really true to me. I don't need a motivation. I don't like, I mean, I always tell my husband, I don't need motivation. I don't need accountability. Like I get stuff done, you
Right.
know? But we all, of course, we can have those phases like, I don't want to be adulting, I don't want to do anything. Well, then
Right.
go back and listen to some motivational videos and
Right.
speakers. Like, really trust that journey, but it's going to be like shorter the
Yeah.
period that you stay there. So yes, it's external, but I feel like when you get into the higher stages, you are not going to need external validation because you stop
Mm-hmm.
outsourcing your happiness and your
Right.
worthiness. And
Mm-hmm.
still, it's nice. It's like cherry on the top. It's nice when your clients appreciate you. Like when my clients message me, they, like their life change and I'm their angel. Like it brings tears in my eyes. It's
Oh
beautiful, the
yeah.
relationships I have built. So it's beautiful for me to hear. But I don't need to.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
That is so cool. I love how you broke it down into three phases, especially because, if you're super new to any of the listeners, they have more of an idea in their mind instead of just like dark darkness ahead of them, like, well, where do I go next? They can
Mm.
kind of feel where they're going as they move, and learn and grow, you know. So let's see, number three. You and I both had eating disorders. And so I just wondered, I know it's so terrible. It's so prevalent and we see it everywhere. And I have two little girls, 9 and 7. And so it's definitely something that's always on my mind. How do I prevent this from occurring again? But to any of our listeners out there that are in that really painful place, what would you tell them just where they're at as far as just giving them a little hope?
I love that you said that, Christina, because that's exactly what I needed. Because when I was in the darkest, I don't know if you know the TV show Dexter. He was like
Yeah.
I used to love that show, and he's explaining there on the show because he was a policeman, but then he was like killing the bad guys, like
Yeah.
murdering the bad guys to making the world a better place. So it's kind of dark show, but I loved it. And he's talking there like about the dark passenger, like
Mm-hmm.
that something just went over him and it wasn't him. And that's how I felt with my eating disorder, that
Mm-hmm.
it's like this dark passenger taking over me, and I felt that I will never be able to live without it. Like if for me, it was 18 years of eating disorder since I was 11 years old. So when you're saying like your daughter's 7 and 9, and
Yeah.
now the kids are evolving even faster than we did, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is scary, but if you're like, there is a quote that I remember that I read back then. It's, if you're going through the hell, keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes.
can heal, you can conquer this, it's absolutely possible. I thought it wouldn't be never possible for me because that was most of my life. Like I was like 28, 29 when I started to like heal,
Mm.
and like most of my life I was in it, like more or less and more. And it's, when you're there, just remember there is hope, there's a woman you can talk to, there's people you can talk to, there's it's so much easier now, Christina. Like,
Yeah.
decade ago it wasn't as easy, like podcast or Instagram, and there are
Right.
people who are like devoted to it. But what really helped me was find something that would make me feel like life giving. Back then, I started CrossFit. I did CrossFit for 3 years.
Okay.
And the CrossFit classes, they were starting at 6 o'clock. So when I was binging and purging at night, like
Mhm.
you don't get good sleep. You're
No.
exhausted, so exhausted. There is so much shame. There is so much guilt. And usually everything is happening behind a closed door. So nobody even knows,
Right.
what you're going through. So when I had my classes at 6 a.m., I was so exhausted. So I told myself, one day, just one day, no binging, just one
Mm-hmm.
day, and that one day turned into two, and then you binge again. And then you're like, okay, let's try it again. One
Right.
day, 2 days. And then you just start to see differently, and you start to like notice that you have better energy, that you have more clarity. And it's really important that you share this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if people judge you, they're not your people, and sorry, but screw them, right? Because
Yes.
it's like, why would you be taking someone who will be judging you, right?
Yeah.
But there are women who went through that and
Mm-hmm.
healed. There
Yes.
are organizations that you can talk to for free.
Right.
Like, there are so many people, like, if anyone went through it, like you and me, Christina, right? Then I don't know the details of your story, but if you went through that, we're so happy to help. We are so happy to support however we can, whether it's on our podcast episodes, sharing about it, sharing resources,
Mm-hmm.
sharing books, what helped us, maybe jumping on a quick 30-minute call. If it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you get to
Yeah.
feel into it. You get to respect your energy and time. You are
Yeah.
beautiful business and family woman, so you gotta make sure that your time and energy is guarded. I just, like, I do very little of like clarity calls, and I get to feel into the person if it feels right. But
Mm-hmm.
there's so many women, so many people who would love to help you, because that's what really drives me. I want women to be healthy and
Yeah.
abundant. And when I say abundant, I don't mean only money. The money, it's a
Mm-hmm.
byproduct. The money always comes, it always
Right.
does, sooner or later, depending on your blocks, right? And and
Yes.
and and the traumas we are carrying around. The abundance will always come, but abundance of help, abundance of freedom, abundance of friends, abundance of family, abundance of, like for me, abundance is just waking up without alarm. Like a crazy, I wake up around 5, 6 a.m. anyway, but it's just like my body, it's ready to wake up, okay, but I don't have to have an alarm.
Right.
And that's so important that you're waking up and you're feeling alive. So please ask for help. And if
Right.
someone is not willing or able to help you, that's okay. Go to the next person. Don't let your heart harden.
Yeah.
Like this year, we're preparing with my hubby for pregnancy, so our first baby. So I am like, I didn't realize when you're in it that how much it can hurt you
Mm-hmm.
long term.
Yes. Yes.
Like you don't know mentally and physically. And
Yeah.
I am so in awe of my body, what it sustained, what it held, how
Mm-hmm.
badly I was treating it. And like, I am the healthiest I've ever been right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
after how I treated my body, I'm in awe with the miracles our bodies really are.
Yes, they are so so phenomenal, the strength that we carry. And honestly, for me, getting the biggest thing that ever got me through my eating disorder and really woke me up was seeing one of my girlfriends. She was just terribly ill, and she was put in the hospital numerous times, and I'm so sad to say she's actually passed away. I try not to cry, but she died at a very young age. And so doing this is also, doing the blog and the podcast is also a little bit in her memory. But if I hadn't have kind of seen just how bad it could get, I wouldn't have been able to start healing myself and saying, I can't do this anymore. And so, like you said, sharing is just so important, because there are so many people that can really learn, and it just takes saying one thing that can possibly transform where somebody is. So I really appreciate you sharing, because I know that that's not like some fun thing to talk about
It's
you know
important, it doesn't matter. Like we can have fun and have a fun talks, and that's inspiring. But what
Mhm.
really impacts is when we share our hearts, when we share our stories, because people can connect. Like people connect with people, people connect with stories, and
Mhm.
that's what I'm feeling. It's really impactful when I'm sharing my stories, and when women see where I am, they're like, okay, so it's possible.
Yeah,
It's possible.
absolutely. So I wanted to ask you, that was one of my other questions. You had mentioned about getting prepared for pregnancy and babies. And so since you are, no, this isn't like a whoops, we're pregnant kind of thing. You're looking forward to all of this beauty. And so how are you feeling? Are you super excited? Or, how that it's just so neat. I never got to experience that. It was like,
Mm.
oh, I'm pregnant. So
Oh.
where are you at on that?
So it's a beautiful question, like, so my mom, she had me by accident. She was dating my biological father for a couple of years, from when she was 16 to 17. At 17 she had her first
Oh
sex
wow.
and she got pregnant. So I'm
Mhm.
like, this is how the accident works. And so me and my husband, since last year, we work with a fertility doctor. She's an ND, so we work with naturopath. And there was a lot of testing, a lot of vitamins,
Mhm.
a lot of, like, thankfully we were already conscious, so a lot of things we were already doing, but there were also things
Yeah.
like, you don't know what you don't know, right? Like you
Right.
shouldn't have even like plastic shower curtain, like
Mhm.
I didn't know. And like there is a steam going from a shower and then it goes into your body. I was like, wow, I never thought about it. So learning a lot of things and unlearning a lot of things. And then
Mhm.
we did, like plant ceremonies. And then we moved to Tulum last year. So right now I'm in Las Vegas for a couple of months, because I have clients and women who are doing VIP weekends with me. So it's like a mini retreat, but with
Yeah.
one-on-one. So I'm here for there for a couple months. Then we go back to Tulum, and we're both really excited with my husband, because I feel like it's this concept, conscious conception. And I even
Mhm.
had a couple women who mentioned to me, and I didn't even like think about it before this way, but they told me, you're really inspiring me with your like later pregnancy, because they're entrepreneurs, they're in a
Mm-hmm.
business, and they're like, 33 years young, and
Mm-hmm.
like all of the friends have babies already, and they're like, I'm really inspired by you because you're 38 and you don't have a kid
Mm-hmm.
yet, right?
Yes.
So it's not something that I planned. I didn't want to have kids just to have them,
Right. Yes.
um, but now with my husband, we're together over 40 years. Actually, on a Monday, the 6/6, it's going to be 1 year anniversary from our
Oh,
wedding. So we are both, coaches, we're both entrepreneurs, we're both very conscious. And I feel like that's what the new generation really needs, like conscious leaders. And it doesn't matter that you already have kids, right? And
yeah.
step kids, but
Yes.
you're awakening into that consciousness, and you're inspiring. And wherever you are on your journey, you bring people with you, which is beautiful.
Thank you so much. I'm just so excited for you. So I had my first daughter at 30, and then my next one at 32 and a half. And then my
Mm.
son, he was actually, I lost three babies total. I had three miscarriages. But my last one, my son, he was twins. And I lost the twin, but Heston was born beautiful, amazing, super healthy. Had him right in my own bedroom with the
Mm-hmm.
midwife. And so I was about 37 and a half, almost 38 years old when I had him. So I can absolutely say,
Mm-hmm.
having babies later in life, you appreciate it so much differently. Not to say that young women that have them in their 20s don't appreciate them, but you
Mm-hmm.
are in a different stage of your life, and so you appreciate, like, these tender moments go by so quickly, and you appreciate your pregnancy more. So I'm just so excited for both you and your husband,
Thank you.
and when you guys have your bundle of
You look
joy.
like 20 something. So I'm like,
Thank
what?
you.
The math doesn't work for me. Like, what do you mean? Like 30 and 38. I was like, what? Like, you look like you just, you know,
Oh,
that's
thank
how you
you.
take care of yourself.
Thank you. Well, I'm super excited. I'll be 40 in about 6 months. And so I'm very excited to celebrate that 40th birthday, and just to keep growing and keep, developing. So let me ask you the next question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what are some of your favorite ways for women to manifest their strengths? And on a daily basis, what are some of your favorite things to recommend to women to really make them feel more empowered in
Mm-hmm.
their femininity?
I love that. And I feel like it really all starts in the morning. Like in the morning, I always treat myself like the queen that I am, because the way you treat yourself in the morning when you wake up, the rest of the world is going to be treating you. So if
Okay.
you wake up in the morning and you grab your phone and you run and you have to make a breakfast to family and you're just feeling like all like frizzled and,
Yeah.
stressed out, well, that's how the rest of the world is going to be treating you. But
Mm-hmm.
even if you're like busy mom and you wake up in the morning and you have 5 minutes for yourself, whether you have to take yourself to the shower or to the bathroom, just like sit there for 5 minutes, give
Yeah.
yourself the time to connect to your body, connect to your breath, like ask yourself, like, what am I really excited for today? What do I, the thing is that we wake up in the morning and we think about a million things we gotta do. But
Mm-hmm.
when you wake up in the morning and you can just like tap into the appreciation, like what's working out in my life right now? What do I appreciate? Oh, I love this bed, and I love that I could sleep in 20 minutes today, and I love that my husband took out the dog, and I love that the kids are healthy. Like, what do you appreciate, right? And
Yeah.
then the second is, what are you excited for today? Even if it's just like your favorite cup of drink, or whether
Yeah.
it's, like sitting on your backyard or going for a walk later or having a call with your best friend or mentor, like instead of to-do list, like to step into that energy of positive expectation. And then the last thing, what is the one thing you will do for yourself? Because we
I,
always put others in front. It's like one
yes.
thing. What are you going to do? I'll take a shower. I will go make myself favorite food. I'm going to get a massage, or I will just like use my favorite new candle. I will use my essential oils. One thing that is just for you. So you are sending the energy out there to the universe. I'm worthy. I'm deserving. I'm the queen. you carry yourself differently throughout the day. Your energy
Yeah.
is going to be different and people will treat you differently.
I absolutely love all of that. It's just like
And
amazing
it's easy,
advice.
you can
Yes.
literally do this in 2 minutes. So, of course, I can give you like other things like doing breath work or dancing, like one song a day. It's going to like bring you back to your body and to your femininity. And it
Mhm.
doesn't mean like you have to be a professional salsa dancer or
Right.
whatever. Like, I
Yes.
cannot do and count the steps. My husband likes to count. I'm like, nope, not doing it. I'll move my booty
Yeah.
however I want. It doesn't matter. So it's really just like moving your body in
Yeah.
non-linear way, not masculine counted way. Just move, and you will allow that creativity and flow, and your gifts flow through you.
I love that so much. Thank you for sharing all of that. I'm gonna have to write all that down. Okay. I don't want to keep you too long, so I'll just ask you two more questions if that's okay. Okay. Um, okay. So this one, a lot of what I've talked about on my podcast is about when we face challenges in life. And how do you feel about when you come up to a challenge? What do you what should you look towards when you're deciding, do I face this challenge head on, or do I shift my route and go change streams and go a different way? Do you have different thoughts on how
Hmm.
you determine, do I take this head on like a bull, or do I go a better way and try something else out?
That would really depend on the person and the situation. Like I don't feel like there is a one general advice like we can give that could fix the things, or maybe it's not even broken, right?
Right.
But like a couple things that came up for me. First, you really have to know yourself. You gotta know yourself. So when I say you gotta know yourself, is that very often we are deciding and making our decisions depending on our parents, our partners, our job, our kids, whatever it is, but you don't really check in with yourself. So know thyself. It comes to, for me, it's human design. I use human
Mhm.
design in my business. I gave you just like a couple quick notes about yours, and I'm
I
like, oh my
love
gosh,
it.
that's so exciting. And I love that because human design gives you the blueprint of who you came here to be. It helps you understand why you're acting the certain way. It helps you understand your authority, how
Mhm.
you are supposed to be responding. Because some people are emotional and they need to wait for time to get more clarity. Some people are non-emotional and maybe they're sacral or ego and
Mhm.
like splenic, so they know right away, and their answer it's in their gut. Or their ego, it's like, I had one client who is like ego projector, and the ego, it's like we demonized it, but basically the ego, it's like you gotta do the things you want to be doing. You gotta do what you want. Like your desires are given to you because you're meant to want them and do them. So, like learn to understand yourself. Like there are many different quizzes. I feel like I took them all. I love personality tests, but with personality test, I change my answer depending on how am I feeling. With human
Right.
design, that's what it is. Like you were born this, and that's what it's going to be. So I think that would be super fascinating to look for you in human design. You can just get a free chart, online. You just type
Mhm.
in Google like free human design chart. I like using jovianarchive.com, which is, free, and it's very easy to see. And just look at your design, look at your design and look at your authority. And that's a great way to start. And then the next thing that I love, if I'm doing like deciding or there's something challenging, I always write down the 3 steps. What is the best case scenario? What is the worst case
Mhm.
scenario? And what is the realistic scenario? And then you write them all down very honestly. And then you ask yourself, like, am I okay with the worst case scenario? If this happened, am I okay with that? If not, then don't do it.
Right.
If you're okay with that, I'm like, yeah, it's not that bad. I'll survive my sack, but I will survive. Then you can go
Yeah.
and do it, So one or the other way.
I love that so much because I always say, write down a list, And so thank you. That is just,
Mhm.
that's amazing. Okay. So very last question. I just appreciate your time so much. Um, for the woman that's really new to spirituality, or maybe really doesn't even have any idea, because I'll be really honest with you, we live in the Bible Belt here in Oklahoma. So spirituality here is kind of pushed down, and it's misunderstood a lot. And so to be able to share with a lot of the women that I come into contact more about spirituality is just a phenomenal gift, because they're caught up in the usual, going to church on Wednesday, going to church on Sunday, and just being very caught up in that, and never being able to even think about learning anything else, because in these more Southern Christian religions, you're not allowed to. That's just like not acceptable. So what would you say to the woman that's got her eyes open and she's starting to think, like, I want to know more? What would be your absolute first step to take? Would it be, reading books, listening to podcasts? What would you say?
I would say start with you and start with your own connection with the source, because we can call it God, we can call it source, we can call it universe. But I truly believe the God that I believe in, it's loving and benevolent and open and wants us to grow and learn, and we have all of these desires and want to do all of these like beautiful experiences and expanding, because we were brought this way, So for example, what helped me on my journey, because like years ago I couldn't even say the word God. It would trigger me, because I imagine this old dude sitting on the clouds, that it's punishing, that's
Yes.
how I saw religion.
Yes.
So what helped me was reading and listening. We did an audiobook with my husband, Conversations with God.
Yes.
That's a really great one, because I feel like it opens you up to really understand that God is everything. Like it's you, and it's in everything, in every particle. So looking at what is your connection to spirits, what is your connection to, because spirituality, it's about spirit, and spirit, it's energy, and we're all energy. So everything and everyone is spiritual, that's how I
Yeah.
see that. But instead of like going outside, like go within and sit with yourself. So going to church, it's cool, right? Like I have nothing against it. I mean, if it fulfills you and make you feel happy to be alive, and you find the peace, and like my husband was brought up Christian, and his parents are going to the church, and when he's there visiting them, he goes to the church with them, but it's not like he has to, right?
Right.
They're very open, and that's what is important, like being open. So if you're just stepping into spirituality, first start with yourself. So like start connecting with your energy and with your intuition, and ask yourself, what does it mean to me, God? What does it mean to me, the spirituality?
Yeah.
So look for your own answers, and surround yourself with the people who are inspiring you and who are doing the things you want to be doing, like
I love that
Christina.
so much. I just, I'm going to have to listen to our talk on repeat, but I know that so many of my listeners and followers will just really appreciate all of your time and all of your wisdom. And you're just a beautiful, beautiful woman, and inside and out, I can tell for sure. And I can't say thank you enough times for all of that you've shared with us here today. So, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we go?
Like I would just like to say that I'm really thankful for the work you're doing, Christina, because it's so beautiful, it's so needed, it's so powerful, and I know that there might be suffering and sorrows in your past, but look at you today. You're beautiful inside out. You're so loving. You're so honest. You're so open. You're so inspiring. And so many women who are looking up to you, you're giving them exactly what they need. It's not about what do you say or what do you do, but who you are being, and they can feel your energy. And through that, you give them the hope. So thank you. Not only for having me today, I enjoy every moment of it, but also thank you for all the work you're doing in the world. It's really impactful and needed.
Thank you. Yours as well. I really appreciate it. Well, I look forward to talking to you again soon. Well, you have a wonderful day, okay? Thank you. Bye.